is the B&D Plus SR905R 600 watt hand drill. And as you can see, it's just dead at the moment. So the first thing we're going to do is switch off and isolate. It's essential that you always isolate. I'm sure we all know that. The first thing we want to do, quick look over the plug, make sure there's nothing stupid, and we'll take the plug off. Just always remember to isolate before we do any work. Obviously you'll have to pull the plug out to do the first check. Well, the cord grip's fine, the fuse is in there, the brown lead positive to the right and the neutral to the left. So now we'll just check the fuse. Of course, if you don't happen to have a meter at hand, then you're going to have to well, you can just simply buy a meter. You can get these for about £3 these days. One which is okay for keeping around the house, very useful for checking fuses. Or you can just swap the fuse in the plug with something that you know is working and check that. But there's always a reason why a fuse blows, so just because you've found what's wrong, it doesn't mean to say you found out what's caused that occurrence. Anyway, I'm going to put this on the buzzer setting and we'll just check the, yep. So now we'll just check the fuse from there to there to see if there's continuity. Well, there's continuity in the fuse anyway. So the next thing we're going to check is the lead. Now, for the sake of tidiness, I'll put the plug back on, but I just want to see anything, see if there's anything obvious in the lead. So we just look along the length of it, look for any cracks and breaks. It's always good to check your leads occasionally, especially on power tools, where you're likely to be handling the lead a lot when it's plugged in. I can't see anything obvious in the lead, so we're going to have to take the case apart on this. So I'll start by undoing these 4 screws here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 screws at the front here. 1, 2, 3 and 4. These are quite long screws. You undo those 4 screws and then you can separate these 2 parts. Simple as that. The part we need to work on today is this part here. So now that we've separated the 2 halves, we've taken out 4 screws on here, we can now take this part of the body. This just works apart carefully like so, and there we are. And now we can get at the rest of the drill now to check for continuity in the mains lead. To check for continuity, we come back to our tester here. And once again I'll put it on the bleeper setting, continuity. There we are. Now we check the positive side. Put the 1 pin on the plug and the other pin down here. Now that's got continuity. And on the negative side, onto the blue lead on the switch, there's continuity there. So the next thing we've got to check now is the switch itself. So we'll put the leads across the switch in the off position first of all and check for continuity. So we're going to check the lead right up to the switch. I've put the drill on the box here to bring it close to the camera so I can show you what connections we have to check on the switch. Okay, with the on and off switch in the off position, that's not squeezed, with our bleep meter, you can use a battery and bulb if you want to, you put 1 lead on the live pin of the plug, Okay, and the only lead you should get a reading on now is inside there, where the brown lead, just where the brown lead goes into the switch. There's a little clamp screw, and that's the only reading you should get, because the switch is in the off position. Nothing else reads. So we can see that our live lead is okay. What you can do is, if you get an assistant, or to shake the lead to make sure that you haven't got an intermittent lead, you could use crocodile clips, and so then you can hold your meter pins, probes on the switch while they shake the lead, and see if it bleeps on and off, then you've got an intermittent lead. And the next one we're going to check is the negative side of the plug to the drill. So we put our probe onto the negative pin, and we touch this where the blue lead comes into the switch, and you should get a reading on that, or a bleep. And there we are. As you can see, nothing else bleeps, just the blue lead there. Once again, shake the lead, make sure it's not intermittent on that side. Next we're going to do now is check the switch. So now we pull the trigger on the drill, push the lock button in the other side, so that stays in the on position now, and now we can check the switch to make sure it's working. So now just put your meter probe from the positive across to these pins here, and you should get a bleep on both those pins. Turn the switch off, check it again, and nothing. Turn the switch on again and lock it in the on position, and there we are. The negative one, you'll get a reading off this whether it's on or in the off position, so don't worry about that. While we're at it, I'll just this commutator, I don't suspect it, but it's looking a bit burnt and a bit scored in places, but we'll get down to that. And while we're at it, we'll just check the field windings, because well, you can't tell by that. You need to disconnect one side. These are spade knife connectors, so we'll just run the meter across that and just check that it's in fact we have got a reading across these, which we haven't. So there we are. That's as far as we need to go on that, because there should be a reading across that. We'll just double check that. We'll just check these over now and make sure that we have got there is open circuit. Yeah, it looks as if on this one here we've come across the fault straight away. It seems that it is in fact open circuit on the field windings. Yeah, I think we can definitely say we've found that we've got open circuit field windings. Well, it's whether it's worth doing the job, unless you've got another, if you're lucky enough to have another drill exactly the same model, you can change the field windings and do your drill again. But looking at the state of that commutator, don't touch that with your fingers, by the way, because you will bubble up. The state of the commutator, which is on its last legs, and I can see rust on here as well, so this has been left in the water and there's a lot of muck in there. I think we can safely say that this drill is going to be a scrap, unfortunately, because the field winding is on. I was hoping it was going to be the switch, or maybe just a crumbled brush or something daft, or a lead off, but it isn't. Early on in the game we found the fault, and it was in fact the field windings. So that's a shame. I was hoping to do a bit more interest in that. Still, there we go. There you go. There's some spare parts here anyway. We've still got the gearbox, which is a good gearbox. And just before you go, if you found this video at all interesting, maybe you've got some wiring you need to put back together. Like I've always said, do take photographs before you take things apart, and then you can always put it back together again. So let's see if we can get some pictures of the wiring for you in case you're looking for some wiring pictures.